Dereck Lively II came out of high school as the third-ranked recruit and the #1 center recruit nationally per Rivals.com. He committed to Duke in September of 2021 and became the third of 4 5-star recruits to commit to Duke for the first season of the post-Coach K era. Lively showed up at Duke with high expectations, but spent his season at Duke as mostly a defensive specialist. He amassed 82 blocks but only made 77 shots from the field. Despite the apparent limitations as an offensive player, Lively started 27 of 34 games for a Duke team that won the ACC tournament and played its way into the second round of the NCAA tournament. It likely wasn't the season most people expected out of Lively, but with his pedigree, physical tools, and ability on the defensive end, he seems to have done enough to still be a first-round pick in this year's draft. The first strength for Lively is that he is very gifted from a physical tools standpoint. Lively is a legit 7-footer, coming in at 7'1" and solidly built at 230 pounds. But on top of that, he possesses a gargantuan 7'7" wingspan, which would be the 5th longest wingspan in the NBA currently, but he will likely have to settle for 6th longest with Victor Wembanyama entering the league. Lively also has pretty good mobility at his size, giving him the potential to be a high-level rim runner on the offensive end if paired with the right point guard in the NBA. On defense, he is not going to be bullied around the basket at all with his size, and he also has some ability to hang with smaller guys on the perimeter. All in all, as far as physical gifts, Lively is going to have no issue adapting to the NBA. The next strength for Lively is as a shot blocker. As mentioned earlier, part of Lively's ability as a shot blocker is just because his arms are absolutely everywhere. With his height and wingspan, he literally could just stand at the basket with his arms up and probably pick up at least 1 block per game. But beyond just the physical tools, he also has some good timing and instincts as a shot blocker, and he's difficult to move. Sometimes when shot blockers get bumped, they'll get pushed back and end up reaching for the ball. This often results in fouls around the basket. Lively is good at absorbing contact but not losing position, staying vertical, and blocking shots without fouling. On the season, Lively finished 10th in Division I in blocks per game at 2.4, but he did so playing just over 20 minutes per game, whereas everyone else in the top 10 played at least 24 minutes per game. Lively is simply a block machine, and I don't see any reason why this can't continue at the next level. The first weakness for Lively is shooting. In fairness to Lively, there isn't a lot of film or data on Lively's shooting in college. On the season, he shot a grand total of 13 3-pointers and only 35 free throws. The vast majority of his shots came right at the basket, with 54 of his 77 made field goals on the season coming on dunks. This could partially be a case of Duke only wanting him to take those shots, but given how wide open teams leave him on the perimeter, they aren't too worried about Lively shooting outside of a few feet. His shot form is a little unorthodox. He sort of slingshots the ball from in front of his forehead. But I don't think his form is the biggest concern. It's that he's unable or unwilling to shoot the ball at all. It's entirely possible that in the NBA we'll discover that he has a little more range than he's shown in college, but at this time it looks like he's going to be pretty much an only around the rim player on offense. Another weakness for Lively is shot creation. A good stat to display Lively's lack of shot creation ability is simply looking at his field goal attempts on the season. Lively averaged just 3.4 attempts per game. It's one thing not to call your own number much, and it's another not to have a phone entirely. Sorry, that was terrible. But on a serious note, Lively does not appear to have the ability to create offense for himself. He doesn't break guys down off the dribble, he doesn't post up, he can't shoot outside of a few feet. Basically, the only way he scores is off of putbacks or rim runs out of the pick and roll. Simply put, Lively is not an impact offensive player at this time. He will likely need a lot of work at the next level to turn into anything more than a defensive specialist. This first clip displays Lively's ability as a shot blocker. The play starts with Lively getting put into a pick and roll on the perimeter. Lively stays with the ball handler and the pocket pass comes out to Armando Bacot driving to the basket. Bacot attempts to bump Lively to create space, but isn't very successful, and Lively easily blocks his shot from behind. North Carolina gets the rebound and feeds it into Bacot in the post. He again attempts to move Lively with his strength, and again Lively blocks the shot. Bacot is not a small guy, coming in at 6'11", 235 pounds, but even he was not able to bump Lively off his spot or escape his impossibly long arms. Lively should still find himself collecting plenty of blocks in his time on the floor in the NBA. This next clip shows how Lively can struggle with creating offense on his own. The play begins with Lively looking to establish position down low, but he allows Bacot to kind of slowly push him further from the basket. Lively gets the entry pass anyway and has basically the whole left side of the floor to himself. But Lively doesn't even bother looking towards the basket. Instead, he just backs it out and hands it off on the perimeter. Lively doesn't need to be some incredible shot creator, but he will need to show at least something in that department if he wants to stay on the floor consistently in the NBA. Dereck Lively was a highly touted recruit coming out of high school, but had a disappointing season at Duke relative to expectations. He had a nice season defensively, but really struggled to contribute on the offensive end of the floor. I think it's possible he gets a bit of a bump as a rim runner at the NBA level with better spacing, but beyond that he has a long way to go as an offensive player. Still, with the physical tools and pedigree, he's still being looked at as a mid-first round pick in what is being viewed as a pretty shallow draft class. It seems unlikely to me that Lively will become a star. He just has too far to go on the offensive end. But if he continues to be an awesome defender in the NBA and becomes a nice target as a rim runner, he could carve out a nice role. My NBA comp for Dereck Lively II is Mitchell Robinson. Robinson was also a highly touted recruit coming out of high school, but ran into off-the-court trouble before his freshman season and didn't end up playing in college. He slipped into the second round where the Knicks scooped him up. He's since become a regular starter for the Knicks, contributing rim running and block shots galore. Lively might have a higher ceiling than Robinson, but based on what his current skill set is, I think Robinson is a reasonable career arc for him to shoot for.